All right. I don't know if it's been 2 minutes, but it feels like that was a very great cue to start this conversation. And I'm going to make sure this mic also works and try not to blast your ears with feedback. So, hello. All right. Success. I'm going to call this a win on Monday. Perfect. And also, I might see, does my voice project okay, or would you rather I use a microphone? Microphone. All right, I'll use a microphone. I was kind of hopeful for a second, but yes. So I just wanted to thank everybody so much for being here tonight, for making time to come down and be a part of this conversation. We're so excited because I feel like Fort Collins is so special in a lot of ways, especially when it comes to the music community. But one of the things that really sets us apart is we have independent radio that actively support local music and local musicians. So, woo! And we're hoping this will be a great opportunity because we're here at the beginning of the month. Everybody can meet all these wonderful programmers that are part of our community and get some music on, like some new music potentially on the air, leading up to FoCoMX, but also celebrating the month of April, which is Local Music Appreciation Month. So that's pretty fun. So kind of the format we thought we would do tonight, if this is not too informal, I was going to let the panel introduce themselves and hopefully not break the microphone. But what would be really cool is if, I'm hoping to just kind of be here and moderate, but if you have questions or if anything inspires you with questions, please raise your hand and we'll make sure we hit everybody up. And save a little bit of room at the end. DJ Walkman is going to be over here playing. And give us a little bit of social time if you would like to have some one-on-one conversations with our music programmers. So. Without further ado, well, first I should probably thank FoCoMA. I think Jared and Caitlin are both here. And also the Music District. I see a whole bunch of Music District people in the house for supporting local music year-round, but also giving us a space tonight to talk. So my name is Greta Cornett. I'm a local musician and a local music supporter. And I kind of feel...
Legend.
Well, thank you. But I thought it would be kind of fun, potentially, to see if you can guess the panelists by their voice, since they're all on the radio all the time. But that might be a little hard. But I'm gonna let everybody kick off what station they're with and who they are and some of the ties they have to local music.
Hi, I'm Margot from the Colorado Sound, and I'm the program director, which means I'm responsible for everything that goes on the air, good and bad, and also I do 10 to 3 Monday through Friday, and I have a music history show called Music 101.
Hi, Margot. I'm Alisha, first name Alisha, last name Sweeney. I work at Indy 102.3 in Denver. You can hear us at 90.9 on the dial here in Fort Collins. Of course, stream us at indy1023.org. And I grew up in Fort Collins. This is my home, and I fell in love with radio because of KCSU when I was a kid, and also because KTCL was a local radio station here in Fort Collins when I was a kid. And when I was in junior high, I had to go interview somebody about a job that I wanted when I grew up. And so I went to Blevins Junior High School. I don't know if any Bruins are here. But when I went to Blevins, I took my tape recorder to interview this guy called Brett Saunders, who was like a nighttime DJ at KTCL. And I interviewed him about music. And so most likely in my parents' house somewhere, I will unearth one day a cassette of like 14-year-old DJ Alisha talking with Brett Saunders, however old he was at the time, I don't know, but about being a radio DJ. So at Indy 102.3, I curate all the Colorado music you hear on the air through our local initiative, which is every hour. It's called Local 303. I curate 12 different Colorado artists each month to be featured. Some of you I see and recognize here already that we've featured in the past. And then, I'm on air also 10 to 3 every day, and have a couple specialty shows like live cuts and more from the Local 303 where we get to squeeze in more Colorado music. So hi. And I just drove like 2.5 hours to get here because traffic was crazy, so that's why I'm so chatty. So bear with me.
I'm David Vacek, David V on KRFC 88.9 across the parking lot there. And I'm the music director and live talent coordinator. So what that means is I curate all the music that comes in, new releases, Colorado artists included. Put all the music into our digital library and work with all the music programmers. And I'm executive producer of Live at Lunch, so I book all our bands for Friday's Live at Lunch and the special outline Live at Lunches at different locations. Bohemian Foundation has helped us with a nice support, and so we tape our Live at Lunches now, and as well as the video and audio. And then after we premiere them, we gift the video to the artist. Nice $3,500 value to whoever performs, and great way to get yourself booked and obviously promote yourselves. I also am part of the locally sourced, which I book bands, artists Mondays and Wednesdays during the noon hour. So local artists or traveling through artists can come in and play live, play their music, speak about their new albums. Also have a show called Rocky Mountain Roots every other Tuesday night at 7. People have a brand new album, local artists. We'll bring them in and interview them for an hour and play their music, maybe have them play live some of the cuts as well. So got a finger in just about everything that we're doing over there. And I'm anxious to talk to you guys about how to submit your music, and we're supporting Colorado artists is a big thing with us and always has been for 20 years. So thanks for tuning in to KRFC.
Hello, everyone. My name's Asher Korn. I'm with KCSU. I started at KCSU in 2018 as a baby DJ, and then I did everything. I absolutely loved it. Radio was so much fun to me. And then I graduated in 2021. I worked for a commercial radio station. I was a board operator for a lot of things, and I was a midday host on a commercial station, and it was awesome. And now I'm back at my roots, and it's great to be back. I'm the chief operator, but I'm also the general manager and advisor. So at the end of the day, my job is to keep the station on air and support the students, and it is so much fun. So thank you for having me here.
Yeah, we are really happy to have Asher back. My name is Christa Reed. I also work at KCSU under the umbrella of Rocky Mountain Student Media. So we handle all the media at CSU. So we're not only the radio station, we're the TV station, we're the newspaper, we do all the special pubs. So I do more of the sponsorships, radio underwriting, any ideas for fun events or anything that you want to do typically will go through me. And then I work with a lot of businesses and local people in town that want to reach people on KCSU and our other media outlets. I will be having my own radio show this summer on KCSU as a community DJ, and my goal is to feature local artists on the off time when the students are gone. So I'm going to be there, and I'd love to hear from you, play your music on air, interview you during my 2-hour weekly time slot. So look forward to meeting you guys, and thank you for having KCSU here as well.
Yeah, so I know we touched a little bit about how important it is for our community to have all these independent radio stations. I know, if you talk to people from other places, they're more like with the commercial stations, or people have moved to terrestrial, or this is terrestrial radio, they've moved more to like satellite radio. And so they're always surprised. We're like, oh, we have all these amazing radio stations here in town. Some of my favorite things that happen are the audience like development you can have as a musician. And that artist discovery piece is the connection you can make with people, especially here in northern Colorado, but in Colorado in general. People love to support local. They love to still listen to radio. And I feel like everyone has also moved their platforms you can stream online, which is really cool. I wanted to ask you all, because you can play whatever you want since you're independent. What makes you choose to play Colorado artists and local music?
Okay. Well, KRFC was started by programmers who came from KCSU. And when KCSU decided that they wanted to have students only. And so all these programmers are like, geez, I still need an outlet, to do, to be able to be on air. And obviously, KCSU had a focus on Colorado artists too at that time. Just came right over with those programmers, and so when KRFC was started, one of the basic premises was support of Colorado artists, and we do things such as we have the featured Colorado Artist of the Day, which is when the Colorado Award of Merit from the Colorado Broadcasters Association last 3 years in a row. And what we do is we feature a particular artist for that particular day, Monday through Friday. And we play a song an hour by that artist. We have a link in a bio on our social media. And it's just a great way to be able to feature, one of the many things we do, we play at least 2 Colorado artists an hour, in addition to all the national artists that we play. And then I spoke to you a little bit about Live at Lunch and Locally Sourced and Rocky Mountain Roots. A big part of what KRFC does is support Colorado musicians. And we have Colorado artists in our automation. So on the overnight, if there's not a programmer live on air or whatever, you'll hear Colorado artists interspersed with national artists of all genres. And speaking of that, that's another thing that we promote all genres, not just alternative or rock, blues, world music, folk, reggae. Doesn't matter. If it's good music, it gets aired. And I guess that's a good point to make now too. People say, well, what is good music? Well, no FCC violations, recorded well, great lyrics, unique sound. There's a lot of things that make good music. And as a music director, and I'm sure everybody here knows this, we probably, KRFC, we get 200 CDs submitted a week at least. All kinds of genres, all kinds of artists, and that's the CDs. That's not just the digital releases on top of that. So I know when I first started, you always saw those movies and TVs where people, I know if it's a good music, listening to it for 3, 4, 5 seconds. The big record producers and stuff. You get to a point where though you can, you can, music grabs you, and it used to be the best song on an album was always the first song on the album, and people bought it and it was the hit, and now a lot of artists tend to hide the best music either halfway through the album or 2, 3 songs into the album. And I still believe one of the best things an artist could do now is to put, if you know the songs are good, put your best songs right there at the beginning of the album. Grab that listener, grab that person to make them want to listen to the rest of the album instead of making them search and wade through the whole album to find what the good tunes are. But here, talking your leg off. Go ahead.
At KCSU, we have a few rules about broadcast for the students and also just because it sounds good. We absolutely love local. I personally really love local. It's amazing to just go to a show, know people personally, and hear really good art, just up close and personal. That's an experience you don't really get anywhere else. So that's a big reason why absolutely local music is amazing. For us, we have in our rotation hours, which is 7 a.m. to 3 p.m., we have a rule where every 4th song has to be local. And it really encourages our DJs to check out our local library, get familiar with local artists, and then they start recognizing names, going to shows, and being really involved in music. So did I answer your question?
Yes, that was perfect.
All right.
Yeah, does anyone else want to add to it?
We both can. Here, you go first.
I think just to be brief, for Indy 102.3, for Colorado Public Radio, we used to be called Open Air when we launched in 2011, if you remember that. We rebranded in 2019. But we just wrote it into our mission statement because we know that Colorado artists are incredible. They sound so good next to legacy artists, next to your favorite bands. They sound so good next to Pavement and next to Lizzo and next to the White Stripes that it just deserves to be on the radio. So we wrote it into our mission statement because we believe in it so much.
So my background is commercial radio. I moved here from Atlanta where I was at a AAA station. And Atlanta, for the big music scene it has, doesn't have the support of radio. You know, the big companies will say, oh yeah, you know, we get an hour local music show on Sunday nights. You know that trick, right? So when the Colorado Sound signed on, it's called the Colorado Sound for a reason, and that reason is to support Colorado musicians. Now, admittedly, when the Colorado Sound signed on, you had a bunch of people from commercial radio who were all a little shy about playing local musicians in with the national musicians, and so it took us a while to really warm up to it and to get to the idea that this is our mission, so much so that when we rewrote our mission statement a couple years ago, part of the mission statement is to bring the spirit and soul of Colorado to the world. That includes the ethos of Colorado, but also Colorado music. Now, I will say that if you are listening to hundreds and hundreds of songs each week, you're going to want to hear, like Dave said, songs that are well produced, songs that don't make me guess what your best song is. Don't make me hunt through a bunch of stuff and go, oh, okay, maybe this one, because I don't have time. I would love to, but I don't have time. And so what you need to do when you submit music to the Colorado Sound is submit it through music@coloradosound.org, and we can talk about that later, but be confident in your submission and make sure your link works. And if you're sending me a Google Drive link, make sure that Margot at coloradosound.org has permission to download it. If you don't do that, then I have to hunt you down, and that takes me a long time sometimes because I get about 300 emails a day. And I really, really believe in supporting Colorado music. There are some bands that I now have in regular rotation among my own collection that are from Colorado, and I'm not going to tell you who it is because I don't want anyone to go, oh yeah, hey, or feel bad. So that's kind of how we work at the Colorado Sound.
I just wanted to add what Margot just said too. I've gotten so many links. Here's my music. It's like, okay, where's your name? What's the song title? How long is it? You know, it's amazing how many people will send you. It's like, this is a great song. I have no idea what it is. So, yeah.
I have one quick question, then I'm going to hit you. So both of you mentioned something that makes me feel like it's a big question all of us in this room have, and that's, I feel like a lot of us as musicians were really schooled on how to try to book shows and stuff. It's like, okay, you email the talent buyer. This is kind of like what you need to include when you're emailing the talent buyer. But I don't know that a lot of us really know how to email a radio station or to get our music played. And both of you offered some great tips, but can one of you or a couple of you maybe walk us through what that should include? Like, should it have like some of the similar things that like what venues you're playing, what shows you have coming up, like any of those types of things?
That's always helpful, but the most important thing I think you want when you're emailing a radio station is you want us to play your music. So when you want us to play your music, you need to do what we've all said. Be very clear who you are, what your group is, if you're sending us a full album, make sure the download link works for both songs and albums. But if you're sending us an album, which songs do you feel are the strongest on the album? Because I'll be honest with you, I won't be able to listen to every song on your album. I'll probably listen to the first minute or two of the songs on your album, but you want me to hear the whole song. So tell me the song, and I will make a point of listening to it. Then, usually I try to make an effort to write you and tell you we're playing your music on the Colorado Sound. Thank you so much for submitting it. And then let us know when you have shows. So that way, instead of me getting ready to do my show and I'm looking and I'm like, oh, I have Electric Animals coming up, and let me Google and see where they're playing. If you've emailed me and told me, sorry if I'm shouting out to anyone at Electric Animals, but if you've emailed me and told me, I've got that information right away. Make the job as easy as possible. Do you know when you buy a record or download something, all the information that comes with what you buy and what you download, that's what you should be giving to radio stations? Someone else?
She hit the nail on the head. You know, we're not exaggerating when we say we get 300 emails a day, and 150 of them are digital songs, on top of the albums and the CDs and everything it gives you. Now, I love that, but there's just so much time in a day. You know, I listen to music from the time I get up in the morning until 10, 11 at night. You know, I barely watch TV. I'm listening to music in my car, at home, you know, in the studios, you know, and I'm on air Thursdays, you know, 1 to 6. I'm listening to music constantly. It's like, get to the point. Get your best song. Let us know what it is. It's wonderful that you're out and about and you're playing and stuff, but what I care about is your song, the music. I mean, it's fantastic that you're playing at Avo's or wherever. Once, and just like Margot said too, once we're playing your music, we reach out to you, we let you know we're playing your music, we're going to feature it at such and such time, or it's in rotation. And then you can say, hey, yeah, I would just like to let you know I'm going to be at the Aggie, you know, we're performing at such and such time. That's great. But we get so much information, just the mass of email and things coming at us every day. The more succinct you are, and to the point, and getting us the information we need in the music, that's really what we need. And believe it, we appreciate you a lot more when you become our friend a lot faster when you deliver your music to us that way.
You can use the indie1023.org website as kind of maybe a guide for submitting on other sites. We've created a submission form on there. So it's like, all right, fill in your band name, give me your email address, share with me your website, when is your new album, you know, what is your latest release, or what music are you submitting? And then we say share 1 to 3 songs with us. So we're really tasking you with, like, you know, listen to the radio station that you're submitting music to and be like, does that fit the vibe of what I'm creating? Would this sound good? Or, you know, a lot of artists, you create your album can contain multitudes, and it can be a little bit bluesy. It can be a little bit maybe electronic or pop. Think about what fits best on the radio station that you're submitting to, and make that like your couple of songs that you're wanting us to pay attention to. Think about what your single is. You know, we're kind of in a singles world again with people posting their music on Spotify and everything. So we have a submission form on our website that you cannot submit it unless you tell me all this information, because I have to, when I fall in love with your music, I have to then put it into our music library. And there's a whole bunch of little things that I have to fill in, like release date, what your label is, or if you're self-releasing it. And because we want to best represent you and your story on air, so there are a whole bunch of questions that on our submission form that we ask you to respond to so that we can best represent you. Unfortunately for me, I don't write everybody back when you submit your music. I can't offer feedback to everybody because I'm so, it's just a lot. You know, when you're a one-person show, and then you're on air 28 hours a week and you're doing all these other things. Hi, Kyle. Thank you. I can't always offer somebody feedback on a song, but I will reach out to you if I want to feature you in the Local 303, our monthly feature. Sometimes I can't tell you when you're going to be on our program more from the Local 303, which is an extension of the hourly feature. And also on our website, you can submit your concerts to us there as well. So it's just tell us when your show is. So then you just put it in there, and then it spits it to the person that adds it to the website, or it automatically adds it, because that's how we run it at Indie 1023.
Yeah, at KCSU, we also have a submission form, and it's really, really helpful because that music goes directly into our Dropbox, and it gives all of our DJs an opportunity to review that music. Emails are fantastic, but they do sometimes get lost in the shuffle. we have a live and local program, which I didn't mention on the last question, I'm sorry. But we also, like when we accept emails, people are usually asking us to book on the show. And that's up to the discretion of the local music director. We have one. So do be patient with the music review process. It does take some time because we are a student-run organization. There was one more thing that I had, and I'm trying to remember the thought. Oh, no.
Everyone look at her so she feels really, oh no.
Oh, no. Oh, yes, our students love going to shows. So when you email us or ask for like press coverage or, hey, it'd be really cool if like a DJ came to our show, that's something we definitely share across our station. Because DJs love going to shows. They love the opportunity for like press passes or like to feel special and a little bit like a celebrity. So that's an awesome thing to email our music department about. But for specific music submissions, please go through the form because that's the best way to get your music on the radio.
Also, too, it's important to leverage social media. With that, we had a clever band recently that was doing posts that said, listen to us on KCSU and tag us. So I run all of our social media pages and we get all those tags. So I would definitely leverage, once you do submit, don't be afraid to tag us in your posts, because then that means we're seeing it, more people are seeing it, and it's that synergy. So definitely leverage social media when we do start airing your music. I think that really goes a long way.
And to add to that point, I don't want to speak for everybody on this panel, but the way I look at it is we are all in this to help Colorado musicians. So if Indy and KRFC and KCSU and the Colorado Sound are all playing your music, it is fine with me as the program director of the Colorado Sound if you put our call letters next to KRFC's or Indies, because it's about you, it's not about us, you're not going to upset me as a radio station if you acknowledge other radio stations are supporting you too. That is the point of radio, and that's what we want. So again, I don't want to put words into your mouth, but personally for the Colorado Sound, I do not mind.
And one thing that I forgot to add too, as far as submission, you just go to KRFC's website, krfcfm.org, scroll all the way to the bottom, contact, click on the contact, and there's, scroll down just a little bit, and on the right-hand side is your submission for your digital submission for music. I see a lot of people in the room here that I've had in the studios and that know me, and once you've been on, say, Live at Lunch, or we've started playing your music, most of the artists feel free to give me just an email. They've got a relationship with me. But if I haven't met you yet and you're brand new or you've never submitted music to us, that's the best way to do it initially, is just go to the website, submit the music. And hey, if it blows my mind, I'll probably send you an email right away.
I haven't forgot you yet, but I had one more follow-up just because we're on this topic. So I just wanted to ask you, because it's kind of a two-part question. I've heard you talk about like CDs and MP3s and digital and records. So my first part of the question is, does your station have a preferred method, like a preferred format? And then my second question is, because we're all like in a space and in a time period where DIY is so accessible and a lot of people do a lot of home recordings, is there a certain quality that you're looking for when you're doing submissions?
Yeah, for the Colorado Sound, I actually prefer digital downloads. It's just easy. And also it makes it easier for us to put it in our system to play it on the air. A high quality MP3 320, that's fine. Or a WAV file, that's also fine. And yes, quality does matter. If you record at home, that's great. I don't want to hear like hissing in the background unless that's the aesthetic of the song, or a dog barking unless that's the aesthetic of the song. And I want you to sing directly into the microphone, because mic presence is a very real thing. So do know that if you're recording at home, you're not automatically not going to be on the Colorado Sound if you have a home recording, because we play a lot of lo-fi stuff, but just make sure it sounds good.
Yeah, and we prefer WAV files. You can, it's listed on our website when you go to indie1023.org and you click on Local 303 and you're sort of looking how to submit your music. We have it laid out there for you. Please submit it as a WAV form. I love when you guys send me vinyl or your CDs, but that digital submission really is what gets it on air fastest, to be honest. But I love when, on top of that, totally don't have to, but it is nice once you have a relationship with an artist, they're like, hey, I just want you to have my album, Alisha, because you've supported us or whatever it is. So that's always special too, and it doesn't get thrown away. I keep it and treasure it and everything. But yeah, WAV files are great quality to then get it transferred to get on air.
And we're a little bit different than that. We accept everything. We've got 65 shows a week. 63 of them are produced by us, which means we just have 2 national syndicated shows. And of those, most of them are live programmers. Each programmer can walk up to our rack and grab a CD literally off our new release rack and play it. I could have added it that morning. And whereas the digital submissions are fine and they're great, and we have make the description short, we have easy access through our computer system. But if I've got a 75-year-old DJ who's been on the air for 20 years, I guarantee you he is going to grab that CD off the rack and play it more than he's going to sit and fiddle with finding that file. It's just the way it is. And so I don't know if we're ahead of the time or behind the times. We also play vinyl. We have 2 turntables right there. We play vinyl. We play CDs, we play MP3s, waves, play it all. But for KRFC, you're going to have the most luck having your music played currently with a CD. And I know a lot of you guys aren't producing CDs, you're doing everything digitally. That's fine. You can still submit it that way. But just to be honest with you, even if you rip a CD for us and bring it in, do a quality CD with maybe a digital copy of the cover on it, that just helps us. And I know a lot and again, you're like, I don't even have a CD player anymore. I hear that all the time. I know that's why we do accept the digital submissions too.
Yeah, the only thing I think we don't play is cassettes. We figured out how to do vinyls. We're participating in Vinyl-a-thon here in a few weeks, so we're working on perfecting that system. Pre-COVID, we did mostly exclusively CDs, which was really awesome. I have a whole collection from that time, and I like CDs. They're very cool. But right now we are very digital focused, so digital submission, Dropbox. We prefer MP3s, but we also accept waves. And one more thing too, we also have a local musicians directory. So if you're looking for more visibility or for someone to fill in during a live set, you can either submit or search for people who play certain instruments, and it's a great way to support local music.
And we do have a sign-up sheet back there, just if you want to get in contact. We'd love to have your info. If we ever do want to reach out to bands, if we're having events for this summer, if you want to come on and do an interview or whatever, we have a sign-up sheet back there that just, band, contact, email, your URLs. But you can also do all of that digitally if you don't feel like writing.
And one other thing, KRFC does have a community calendar, and you can go to our website, krfcfm.org, and it's real easy to just click on the tab. You can put in, if you have the next 3 weeks of your shows, you can put it in there. We don't charge anybody to do that. Any events that you may be a part of, free to do.
All right, I'm coming to you, and I'm bringing the microphone, because I know you were waiting very patiently, so thank you.
I'm super loud, so I'm going to try not to get this mic too close to my face. Super funny, because what you just asked them was actually half of my 2-part question. So I'm Paul Rogers, by the way. I play in a band here in town, but so I have a background in college radio from Grand Junction, and my favorite thing about working there was, yes, we had the chaos CD room, which was just random CDs, and then we always had new spins. So what I was trying to get at is whether or not, is there a benefit, kind of like to handing in a resume on a really fancy piece of paper, to kind of, make a better impression on, the people, the staff at the radio station? It sounds like it varies, and that was kind of what my expectation was going to be. So that was a good segue, though, because my next question is, obviously there's digital versus CD. What I have been pounding my head against the wall for a while now is traditionally, obviously, everything was mastered for CDs. CDs are vinyl, right? And nowadays, most artists now have the added complication of mastering for multiple platforms. So we've submitted to release a single on Friday, right? But that particular one is mastered for Spotify and other streaming services. That would not necessarily sound good if you were in an old school station and you threw it on there and there's not a DJ pushing it, right? Because it's mastered to be quieter. Is there a standard? Do radio stations prefer CD masters? That's kind of what I wanted to figure, because I think that's something useful for everybody. Nobody wants to have something mastered 10 different ways, but if radio stations have a good standard or thing that they prefer, that's useful info, I think, especially for myself. So, yeah. Thank you.
So there's some math and science that I totally cannot explain to you, but for some reason, if you submit your song as a WAV file, or, we accept MP3s too, or when we digitize a CD or vinyl for radio airplay, there's some little sizzling magic that when we put it into our digital library, that I'm doing when I pull your song into Adobe Audition. I do a couple little sweet moves in there, and then it makes it radio ready based on some scientific formula that Colorado Public Radio created, or whomever, our engineers taught me. So release your music however you want it and submit it to us. And what was your band's name, Paul?
Soviet Mothers.
Soviet Mothers. Can't wait to hear them. Yep. Cool.
Go ahead, Margot.
Well, I was just going to say, I agree with Alisha, and the other thing about it is radio stations have their own compression and their own output. So when you submit something, and this happens with major labels too, if something comes to us really compressed, there's the little wizardry we can do in Adobe Audition, but also you will sound like all the other songs that are being played on the Colorado Sound, because you're going through our compression systems and the way our engineer has set up our output. So it's a great question to ask, but most radio stations, I think, should be flexible in that regard, because not everyone's got like a huge studio and lots of editing equipment and time to edit, the same way we don't have time to listen to songs. So we are cognizant of that.
Yeah, Paul, when we had you on Locally Sourced here a little while ago, like Margot was saying, and the stations themselves have it all set up. When you're playing live, it's already set and in the board. We're just controlling volume, pretty much. But when you're actually talking about your music, I think the one thing that I could recommend to people who are DIY or doing it themselves, compression. It just gives it an oomph, a bottom end that just comes through on the radio, and that's the one thing that an artist can do, that if you're doing your own recording, compression.
I have a little bit of a science answer. I don't know how science it is. Radio broadcasts in mono. So if you want your song to sound good on the radio, submit stereo so it'll like play mono. Don't submit a mono file because it'll sound like half full.
One other thing is, because we have to follow strict FCC guidelines because we're a public radio station. So if you have an F-bomb, which is, I believe, an artistic expression, we will not be able to play that. It has to be radio friendly. So keep that in mind when you're creating, if you're a DIY, and there's supposed to be an F word, come up with a different word if you want that song on air, because, or let us know, and then we can exit out. Beep.
And it's not just the George Carlin dirty words. I mean, I'll give you a quick example. We had someone call in and complain. I played the Beatles' "Run for Your Life." How many hundreds of thousands of times has that been on air? Calling to complain about the lyrical content. And if you think about it, it was at a point in time where you could get away with, you do that again and that's the end, little girl. So think about your lyrics now too. I mean, that's part of life now. Things have changed politically and aesthetically lately.
Did you have a question here, or did you just raise your hand a second ago? Okay, then you have one. Okay.
What is the George Carlin list?
Shit, motherfucker, fuck, asshole.
You can say ass though, right? Just not asshole.
You can say ass.
Okay.
And you can say hole.
You can't piss on somebody.
That's right. It's the action. Not to get too gross here, but the action of pissing on somebody is a no-no. But you can say I'm pissed. Okay.
My friend, his name's Nathaniel Rateliff, and his big breakout song, as you guys know, is SOB, or Son of a Bitch. And I remember some of our friend stations across the country were really torn about, should we play this song on the radio? They were like, okay, it's about, someone that has this alcohol problem. He's saying son of a bitch. And so a lot of radio stations at first were really questioning, should we play this on the radio? And obviously we know how that turned out, and it's been played on the radio many times across the world, very excitingly. But I remember that conversation and kind of being chuffed or tickled by that, because some radio station friends across the country that we just thought would be a no-brainer for them to finally play our friend Nathaniel on the radio. They were like, we don't know. That changed.
It's context. I think we all remember Nazareth, hair of the dog. Now you're messing with the son of a bitch. As opposed to, but which is, I'm not saying it's a good tune. It's again the context of the way you're using son of a bitch, and just something to think about. Context.
All right, one quick thing. You don't need to self-edit your songs, okay? If you're submitting to the Colorado Sound and this is your song and this is your expression, that's fine. All I ask is that you just let me know if there's a swear word in it, so I hate surprises. That's all I'm saying. But we aren't asking you, I don't think any of us are asking you to censor your songs so they'll get played on the radio. If you listen to the radio, there is a lot of stuff that deals with a lot of adult topics and context, and you can't make everyone happy. I remind people to eat at noon every day, and I got an email from someone who said I was being disrespectful to people with eating disorders. So I get her point, but my lesson is here, you can't make everyone happy. Submit your music the way you want us to hear it, and we will take care of the rest. If we need to make a minor edit or we need to go back to you and say, well, there's this, we'll do that.
Or submit two versions.
Do that too.
There's a new blues artist I won't name who's got a couple of great songs on his album, and he says shit a lot. But he submitted the CD for radio where you just hear this, and that's it.
It's called a radio edit.
One more thing on that note too. It's there's a difference between something that is explicit and something that is obscene. And an obscenity isn't explicit. It doesn't contain any bad words or anything, but it is a gross phrase. It's usually related to a bodily function. So that's the other thing to just watch out for, even though that's technically clean, is what does our audience want to hear?
What's an alternative for shit? Crap. I mean, again, I'm with Margot. You don't want to. I'm not encouraging anybody to censor themselves, but you can be an imaginative. Increase your vocabulary. You still get your point across.
You can also do people will get the point, and you won't be swearing.
Also on the context note, sorry, I'm just remembering all kinds of things today. So on the note of ass versus ass, of you can say I fell on my ass or kiss my ass, but you can't say it objectively about someone else.
No. She's got a big ass.
Yeah.
The bottom line is we're responsible for what goes on. We're responsible for what goes on the air on our radio stations. So we have given you some food for thought, but please don't feel like you have to self-edit before you send anything in. Because it's like, SOB. Nobody knew that was going to be a hit. No one knew that was going to take off. And look, it did. And it broke down some doors because now you can use that phrase on the radio. So do know that we will be responsible for what goes on the air, and we're not asking you to do anything, but just be aware of what you're sending us and give us a heads up. That's all.
And we have it on our submission page on the Indie website. We ask you if there's profanity in your song as well. We have on our submit page at Indie 1023, and we ask you if there's profanity in the songs that you're submitting and everything. So I like when it says no. And if it says yes, I expect you to tell me at 35 seconds, at 142, and then also if I'm going to feature you in the Local 303 and you happen to have profanity in your songs, I will ask you to submit a lyric sheet so that I can double check that you've edited that out. Or if you can't edit it out and you're being featured in our monthly feature, Local 303, I will do a kindness and I will edit that for you.
Ramon, did you have a question? I did, yes. Also, Shane, if you put these wireless mics up here, thank you, because I'm not tripping. Thank you.
Thank you, Shane. Thank you, Greta. So my name's Ramon Love. I'm here with my wife, Molly Love. We're part of BBMC. We do hip hopera, also known as hip hop with most people, and that's kind of where my question kind of comes from. So when I guess I should backtrack. I delivered food out of a vehicle for 2 years of my life, so I've listened to every single one of y'all's stations, many, many, many hours, was in love with every single second of it, all the local musicians and whatnot. One thing that I've definitely noticed is that, especially here in our community, in our state, hip-hop has an underrepresentation. When you look at national trends, what comes out on top, tied for first place, it's country music and it's hip-hop. I guarantee everybody in here knows something from all over the spectrum, Mac Miller to Kendrick Lamar to J. Cole to Lizzo, Eminem, Dua Lipa. These are all hip-hop, R&B hip-hop, soulful hip-hop. I'm wondering, my big question is, what does it take to get more visibility on these type of stations? I remember on your station, Alisha, hearing Boss Eagle for the first time and introduced me to Boss Eagle. That homie lives 40 miles away from us. Yeah, he's not even that far, yeah. And that's literally how I got to connect with him, was through your radio station. And that was a prime example of the representation in our community, actively reaching out to everybody else in the community. So my question is, when it comes to the submission, we kind of hit on some of these, what you put in your title, like artist name, artist genre, when it comes to, the profanity and those issues like that, because hip hop can be very real. It can deal with a lot of real themes. It can just say it, or it can paint a picture that's not necessarily nice. On that same coin, though, it can also be a very beautiful expression. It's the type of genre that has the most words per minute out of any genre of music, So I'm just curious about those types of things that it takes to get that representation, because our version of hip hop, between her and I, we have a very wide spectrum of understanding and appreciation for music. We hit everything. I feel like we hit every category of hip hop, and we don't mind submitting certain things for certain radio stations while also performing certain things for locals in a different way. So very curious on just those types of things.
Yeah, I was just saying that I agree 100%. That's exactly what I was going to say. I get so few Colorado hip hop submissions. I can't think of one I've gotten in the last month.
Yeah.
Now, FCC compliant. That's our issue.
Yeah.
When it's shit motherfucker, every second sentence, it's like, yeah, I can Adobe Audition edit some of that, but I can't spend my whole day editing, 3 or 4 songs,
Yeah.
But we had a hip hop show, and for a long time, for about a 2-hour hip hop show, we lost our programmer, but the big problem with that was finding edited, playable songs.
And I think that brings me to another aspect of this question is that, like, I can right now name 25 local hip-hop artists within a 50-mile radius of this exact spot. None of us believe that your audience wants to listen to it. So we go ahead and focus on social media, focus in a different way. Do you think that you kind of follow the trends of your audience, or is your audience more receptive to things?
There's a dance because we are a public radio station and we're non-commercial. So yes, we have people who have very big opinions about what we should and shouldn't be playing. Some people just want us to play John Prine and Lucinda Williams, while others, and they're very upset that we've gone in a more alternative direction. And we do get emails from people who say, well, I wish you would play less hip hop. And I look at our playlist and I'm like, what do you mean less? We couldn't play any less. And I'm being honest with you. There is that. But the other thing is, when we first started, who knows Chris K? When we first started, we got our local music through Chris K. Chris K had a very Americana bent ear, right? And so that's kind of what our library became of Colorado music until we started going, oh, all right, well, how about we, get out in the community and ask for people to submit their music? Well, that has helped a lot with the kind of music we're playing, because we're playing all kinds of music from Colorado musicians. We still don't have those bands that you just said. We have Boss Eagle, and that is really it, because he's the only person that I have seen come through. Now, you could have submitted something and I've missed it, but I would like to see more submissions. We're a music discovery station. I am not afraid to have people discover music. I'll handle those emails. I don't care. What I care about is an equal representation of Colorado music. And Colorado music isn't just Americana music.
Yeah, love that.
I'm just going to say real quick, we've got a lot of the older stuff, stuff that's like Dubskin, that's like rap and reggae, or Peace Officer. I mean, off the top of my head, one of the newest probably rap would Right Minded. I mean, I can't think of a whole lot of other that have been even submitted,
Definitely.
I mean, I definitely encourage you to submit to KCSU.
Yeah.
That's your audience. We're always looking for the newest, the best. Definitely, I know Asher can hit on that as well, but we are your market. And for hip hop, for any type of world music, any of that, come see us at KCSU. We're down for that. This summer, for sure, I would love to have you guys come in.
I'm all about it. Thank you.
And just a little bit on the programming side of that too, we do program, we are aware of just genre representation. So we have it's scheduled out for not to have one specific genre take over the whole broadcast. And our students absolutely love rap and hip hop. So that is something we're always looking for, and we love those. And we do play songs that sometimes our listeners are like, why did you play that? Or it's just what is playing right now? But it's artistic expression at its core, and it's representation of locals. So that's something we absolutely love.
Lovely. Thank you.
Please encourage you. I haven't seen anything from you come through. And please encourage the other musicians that you alluded to submit to the Colorado Sound. Seriously.
You got it. Bet. About it.
Yeah, and you've submitted your music to me before.
I have,
and actually, and I've listened to it, but again, I can't reply to everybody, so don't at me. I have listened to your music, and I almost added you to the local 303 this month.
Hey, we got more on the way. So
No, that's great. But you're on my list because I get so many music submissions that I have this crazy Excel spreadsheet where I'm already architecting out what I'm going to be featuring in September, because there's so many exciting artists that I want to give a platform to.
Lovely.
But you guys are on my radar. And I think maybe I've played you on our nighttime show more from the local 303. I believe I've added one of BBMC's songs to our local library. And we were kind of KCSU is going to be a great outlet if you're a hip hop artist, to send your music there. Send it to me, Indie 1023. I do give a spotlight to it as well. And like we have Sasuke. Is Sasuke here? Hi. I was looking at you. I was like, I think I recognize you from your photo. We have Sasuke in our local 303 this month. We've had Rev de Fourth, another wonderful.
We love Rev.
Kind Up guys are so sweet. We've actually been on this stage right here with them many years back, doing a performance for a radio station. But yeah, I think, again, listen, it goes back to the question of listen to the station and see if your vibe fits for what you're creating.
Definitely.
But there is room for hip-hop on all of our stations. And also we have a really great station in Denver called The Drop.
Yeah, definitely.
And submit to them as well. That is a hip-hop station. So if you do create hip-hop, submit to them. I often send a lot of artists that way too.
Awesome. Well, to your point, September is her birthday month, Mexican History Month.
I know, Latin Heritage Month.
Yeah,
I know.
Afro-Latino here, Chicano right here, Chicana right here. So we would love that.
Yes.
Little selfless promotions.
No, thank you. With the local 303, we do curate certain months, like Black History Month. We do put a spotlight and choose all dozen artists in the local 303 that month to make sure that they are to represent Black artists from across Colorado. Women's History Month, same thing. Pride Month, Latin Heritage Month, we do curate around that too.
Lovely.
So yeah, I did have you in mind, but
I remember
might be
you.
earlier.
I remember you. So thank you.
And,
Yeah. Hey, we're homies.
Yeah. And, as far as Latin artists, too, I mean, we're Kali, Pink Hawks, a lot of the Denver artists, we're playing them regular basis.
Cool.
Because they've submitted their music.
Yeah. Right on.
That is the biggest thing I want to get across to you. I kind of live in a bubble of going to work, going home with my husband, taking care of my dogs, doing all the crap I have to do as the program director, which is good crap because I love being the program director. But I don't know every band out there, and I don't know every artist out there, and I want to be aware. So don't assume I know who you are, and please don't be offended if I don't. I don't assume you know who I am, and it's okay if you don't know who I am. That is totally fine. If you see me in the grocery store, it's okay if you're like, she looks familiar, but I don't know who she is. So my point is, I can't be aware of all the music that's out there. We have a very small staff at the Colorado Sound, and so we rely a lot on word of mouth. We rely a lot on submissions. We don't have a fancy submission page like all these other highfalutin radio stations.
Just copy mine. I've worked over so many years, like answering so many questions as the local person, being like, all right, here's all the stuff we need to know in order to get it in Music Master. So just rip mine off.
Well, I'm not gonna rip you off. All right. So, but we do ask for music submissions, which needs to be improved at music@coloradosound.org. We get a lot of crap on that from like PR companies and people from the Netherlands who are like, yes, you've heard my single. No, I haven't. That kind of thing. So there is a lot of stuff we have to separate. So if you are a Colorado musician submitting your music to the Colorado Sound at music@coloradosound.org, in the subject line say, I'm a Colorado musician. Hi, Margot. Hi, Ron. Hi, Stacy. Whatever it is to get our attention, because we get a lot of emails there too. We will fix our submission process by, ripping off Alisha here. But for now, that's kind of what I'm asking you to do, is introduce yourself to us that way. Or if you see us out, or, if we're introducing, we're going to be at FoCoMX, make sure that you introduce yourself, because I have a hard time seeking out what's out there. So I need to rely on you to make sure I get it.
What she just said about putting "I'm a Colorado artist" in your subject line on an email, that does carry a lot of weight. I'm sure with all these guys, I won't speak for them, but when I see that, of the 50 emails I just got in the last couple hours, I'll listen to you first.
And because we're all friends in this room, you can email me directly. directly, Margot, Margot, at coloradosound.org. And I won't go, how dare you? I'll know it came from me because no one ever puts a T on the end of my name.
Yeah, you're like Margot Tenenbaum.
No, I'm
The OG. We are so lucky to have like such a robust radio community and like such a robust Colorado music community, and especially in northern Colorado, I'm always inspired and excited to come up for FoCoMX because again, like being from Fort Collins and going to like the concerts on Thursday night under the stars during the summertime and everything, which then I guess maybe became FoCoMX, I don't even know, but it's been a while, but this town is so special and there's so many incredible artists to invest in. So I just encourage you all to like share your voices with all of us radio stations because we do want to uplift you and share your story. And that's why I love doing radio and why I, being a kid and listening to KCSU and other radio stations when I was younger, I was like, if I can do that as an adult, like do storytelling of great music, like that's gonna be the coolest thing. So we're here for you and we're your biggest cheerleaders. So just don't be shy also. Like I find that a lot of submissions that I get are from a certain type of person or a certain sound of a band, but like if you're nervous or you're like, my song isn't ready yet, and things like that, just submit it. Just see what happens, Because sometimes especially if we're doing the DIY thing and you're creating your own music, you can listen to it 5 trillion times and stuff. You can spend 524 hours on mastering that song and it's never going to be perfect to you. But maybe it would be to some of our ears.
I don't like listening to myself. Like if I have to hear an air check, I'm like, oh my God. So we get it.
Yeah. And I have another question back here.
Hey everybody, my name is Eric Lundy. I'm a Fort Collins singer-songwriter. Hi you guys. I wanted to, first I wanted to give a little backstory, which is I think a success story of like being an indie artist and trying to figure out how to do radio in the last year. And then I realized that there were some holes in my strategy. So a lot of it is for you guys as indie artists who haven't actually, or if you've released a record but you're like, why didn't I get any radio play? And a lot of it is just like, it's just hard work. And looking at each one of these people up here and their radio stations as a different strategy to how to submit, which I didn't know either. Because I put a record out in, I think, 2016, but I had no idea how to get it on the radio. And I think I just went to KRFC and took in some CDs, and you guys played it, and it did really well that year. But it never got beyond the local market. So I was like, well, how do you do that? So there's a Chris K story in here. So I don't know if those of you who know Chris K, let's just admit he's a strong personality, but he's also somebody who supports Colorado music and may potentially open doors or close doors depending on his opinion about it, right? So that's something I think to consider if you work with him. But I'm grateful for the work that he's done in Colorado Play and doing the Colorado playlist. Anyways, the point being, I went to him because I'm like, I don't know anything about radio, so help me understand radio. So I think there's maybe 20 Colorado radio stations that are worth, that report to Spinitron. How many actual radio stations report to Spinitron? And if you guys don't know about that, Spinitron tells you how many plays you actually get on public radio. Do you guys know offhand?
Yeah, technically you don't have to report to Spinitron.
Okay.
It electronically reads what you play.
Shows how you play it, right?
All of us are monitors.
You're all monitors on it, okay. Let's see, I was getting lost on that one. Well, the point being is I felt like, okay, I've got good music, I wanted to get out in the radio. So the first thing I did was I wanted to make sure KRFC, because I had heard the old public radio stations that have older people my age and up as their DJs are still using CDs. So I didn't know that. I figured, no, it's got to be all digital. So just understanding that, when you guys are making your records and knowing that there's probably at least 10 important radio stations in Colorado that are public radio stations that would take CDs, would you guys agree that that's right?
And it might have changed during
Yeah.
stopped people that, or asked on our website, like, just send us digital songs.
Okay.
Because,
But I didn't know that, and it was helpful to know that going forward. So it's like, oh, I actually have to print CDs, and then to not print CDs that had rapping on it. So these are like sort of logistical things when you think about it as an artist. Like, okay, I've got the radio stations, a list of radio stations that will probably play my music, but I need to send them CDs because they're not going to be as like digitally savvy as some of the other people. And then I had Chris K actually send mine out to his list of the radio stations that he believes would play it. The problem is I never did the digital distribution to Colorado Sound or to 102.3, and I'm really bummed because I was like, so what I'm saying is I think have like a physical strategy of CDs, and then figure out who the music directors are. So what I wanted to say about that is my success came by taking physical CDs. I drove them down to Chris K and gave him a box of CDs, basically, which I thought was old school and weird. And then those were sent out, to all these Colorado radio stations, and lo and behold, I got a ton of play. So my indie record that I put out myself was played, I was the top 11 for the Colorado Public Radio last year, which I thought was huge for not knowing what to do. And a lot of that was due to KRFC. So I want to just say thank you so much to David Vacek. And I don't know and David, maybe you can tell me, because I took 4 CDs down to those guys, because I heard that like sometimes people take CDs home. So I was like, well, maybe if I give them more, there'll be more on the shelf. So, and I was number 2 I got number 2 on KRFC.
They get played to death. AJ Fullerton is a good example. He releases his CD, and we play the hell out of it so much that he has to come in and give us replacement CDs.
Yeah.
A couple of points that you made that I thought were just a silly thing to say, but it's important. Just a quick tip for musicians. When I was a musician and putting out CDs and albums, I had a DJ tell me, don't send it wrapped. I thought, why? Yeah, I want to get it to you so it's in pristine shape. I get hundreds of CDs a month, and every day when I open up all that mail, what gets listened to first? It's the unwrapped CD. 'Cause I just take it out, boom, right in the CD player. Whereas if I have to take my knife and work on it for 30, 40 seconds to get the plastic off it, it's not going to get played as fast as the ones that aren't sealed.
Can I add something? Don't send CDs in those plastic envelopes. You can't rip those open.
Yeah.
I hate that.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying that because I got 3 CDs today that were all plastic, not local musicians, that were all plastic envelopes, and I'm like, oh my God, where are my scissors? Okay.
So that's just a quick tip. And the other quick tip that I would give you is, I developed great relationships over the last 8 years as music director with a lot of Colorado musicians, and they'll send me hey, here's my brand new song. It's not out for 3 weeks yet, so don't play it. But here's my song. Okay, so I've got to stash that away and remember to start playing it 3 weeks from now or whatever. Yeah, and you guys all know that this is the way it goes, and it's like, send it to me when you want me to play it. You send it to me today, I'll put it on today if it's a great song. But I understand trying to coordinate it with your album release. That's totally cool. Send it to me 2 days before your album release. Don't send it to me 3 weeks or a month before you want people to start playing it.
How do record labels send stuff to radio stations? That's how you should send stuff to radio stations. A week or 2 in advance is fine. 3 weeks, that's asking a lot in a sense because there's a lot to juggle. But if a major label is sending Hozier's new song, they'll give you maybe a few days notice. That's all we really need. We can keep track of it if it's a few days.
Something goes hand in hand with that. Lumineers are a perfect example. They release a song, and the album doesn't come out for like 3 months. And then you get people calling you, can't you play anything else from the album? Is that all you have? It's like, yeah, that's it. They've released a song, and the album's so. I think people will get tired of the new Lumineers.
It depends on how much you play it. We know that there are certain. we know there are certain bands that are going to send us stuff way in advance to hype the excitement for the album. So we're not going to put it in heavy rotation or anything. We're going to play it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to play it. We're going to nurture it. We're going to increase the spins. We're going to nurture it because we don't want people to get sick of it. And we also don't want people to listen to our radio station and go, oh my God, that pattern of music that they play is ridiculous. I know they're going to play the Lumineers this day, this time, and this time. So we don't want that either. So again, just, use common sense about when you send your stuff in and how you do it. And be forthright, be confident, be direct, don't be pushy. But, just like you would do when you were trying to book a venue to play, right? Same thing with the radio station. You got to get our attention, but you don't want to over get our attention, if you know what I mean. Like, oh God, I don't want to deal with him kind of thing. Which doesn't happen that often, really.
It's more national artists, but
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. You too.
I totally don't want to hog the mic on this thing, but I wanted to stick to a thing. I think just this for those of us artists that are trying to put stuff out again, right? So there's the physical release strategy, like just in Colorado. There's regional, and then there's the national thing, right? So there is also, I guess, a physical CD release thing for national, and there's companies that'll do that for you. When I wanted to ask you guys, so these are questions to you, because I think I figured out like how to do the physical thing in Colorado, but so when I was looking at digital distribution, I was going to work with, I think, Tinderbox out of Boston, and you guys get submissions. So you guys probably all know this, but there's also companies that will send that out. And I found out that they used Play MPE. So I think as independent artists, we can actually use Play MPE. Is that a more effective tool for you guys, particularly the people that use the digital distribution, or is the direct email Margot or Alisha the way to do it?
I think direct is best because Play MPE does this thing where if I even play 30 seconds of your thing, then all of a sudden I'm getting an email from the artist going, I noticed you played this song and I was just wondering your opinion. And I'm like, oh my God, which makes me not want to play songs and Play MPE.
they have this whole menu.
Okay.
And they refresh it.
Okay.
Pseudo-daily.
Is there an...
I've never heard of this band until you play it, and so I know exactly what
It's convenient because you can...
15 seconds of something, and you get familiar with the new band that you haven't heard of.
Yeah, and it's convenient because you can download from it, but also keep in mind that everyone uses Play MPE, and I probably am, telling tales out of school by saying, we'll look at things on Play MPE that come from labels we know, or from distribution artists or distribution companies that we know. If it doesn't, unfortunately, the reason I won't listen to it is because of those follow-up emails saying, oh, please tell me in depth what you thought of my song, that kind of thing. So it just makes me feel less inclined to use it for non-established artists.
So 2 questions just on that, and then I'm going to give it up. So for Play MPE, I know there's another digital distribution thing. Are there distributors that you two like to really work? You're like, oh, I love music from this Tinderbox, or anybody that if we were going to submit to national, that you would recommend for radio?
There aren't any that I recommend. There are some that are more well established than others. Like if your music is Americana based, if Joe Swank Promo is repping your stuff, then that goes some way with me because Leslie Ruffet or Songlines, they have good reputations. If you can get 30 Tigers to distribute you, congratulations. Also, there's Tiger Bomb, there's Cosign, yes, for sure. They have a lot of music. There's Marauder and a whole bunch of them. Yeah, so do your research if you're going to go with a company like that, to make sure that they have established radio station relationships, because if it's coming from somebody who is kind of a smaller, like I got an email from somebody saying the other day, why won't you answer my emails? Well, I don't know you. You've never called me. You've never called during my call times. You've never done anything. I don't have a relationship with you. So make sure that if you're going to use these companies, that they have relationships with radio stations, and especially our radio stations. But submitting directly to us, since you're a Colorado musician, that would be the best way, I think, for you to get on a Colorado radio station.
I thought Chris would have given it to you guys. Does he sit on the board of your thing and decide, oh, you're not a Colorado sound artist? I'm just curious.
Okay, let me dispel something about Chris K. He is a part-timer on the Colorado Sound and does wonderful work for us.
Yeah.
And his show, Colorado Playlist, is his own thing. Don't assume that if you give Chris K music that I know about it.
Okay, that's a good thing to know. And then one last thing, and then I promise I'll give it up. Dropbox, WeTransfer, SoundCloud.
All fine.
What, really? Mm-hmm. Do you guys have a preferred one that you're
No,
this is
don't worry
awesome?
about that.
Okay.
We can get them all.
Okay, cool. Thanks, you guys. Thank you. Thanks for putting up with me.
Okay, I know sorry, Alisha.
No, I was just going to say, sometimes maybe as music directors, we can't always open something up within that week. Sometimes Dropbox will, only allow it for 7 days. So sometimes I'll write you back and be like, hey, can you resubmit that to me if it's expired?
Yeah, don't take offense if we do something like that. Oh, geez, I was bottom of their priority list. It's nothing like that. It's just the mass of music that get thrown at us. Sometimes we just can't get to it in 7 days.
Any legitimate file transfer service is totally fine.
And I'm trying to keep us on time because I want to make sure there's a little bit of time at the end so everybody can have some one-on-one. So I think we have time for about 2 more questions. I know there's one here, and I saw maybe a couple other hands up.
Hey, good evening. Question about broadcast royalties. Can artists earn royalties on public radio?
Yeah, if you're registered with those companies.
So then you should
BMI.
register with who? Who are they? Wow.
This was a music licensing question.
I mean, it's royalties. Like everybody wants to.
Yeah, I mean, if you Beyonce or whoever, they're all members of ASCAP or BMI. It's not expensive. It's not hard. Just Google it and figure out which one you want to be. Yeah, I'm a BMI. Actually, I'm an ASCAP artist first, and I'm in a band where the other artists are BMI. But yeah, it's that's how you get on the royalty train there.
So what we recommend is go to their websites and find out how to register as an artist with ASCAP or BMI. One is for songwriters and one is for songs. So you want to make sure that if you wrote the song, you're duly represented with the kind of royalties you're looking for.
I think there's one for Europe too. I can't think of.
There's CSAC, ASCAP, BMI, and Sound Exchange.
And Sound Exchange.
Oh, thanks.
And again, that's why I have on the submission form, tell me your label, tell me, the label ID and stuff like that so that you can be properly represented and annotated if it does get, if it does get played on the radio.
Okay, I've got one last question over here.
Make it a good one.
Better be good. No pressure, no pressure.
Leah wanted me to ask.
I got another question.
Do you care if people resubmit if you don't play it?
Resubmit for sure.
Okay, like give it 6 weeks. Because I hear like if you're going to a venue, give it 6 weeks or a month or 2 months and then ask them again. So is that a good time frame so you're not annoying?
Yeah, sometimes things get lost or sometimes I'll get a submission because musicians, work at different hours than maybe a radio host does. So I try to, log off and be done with my day at 6 p.m. or something, but then I'll get a submission at 3 a.m. on a Friday, going into Saturday. And then sometimes that'll get lost in my shuffle. And there's really no best time to submit your music. Submit when it's right for you. But sometimes things will get lost in the shuffle. Resubmit if you think that it might not have been heard.
We're human beings. I ever since I had COVID last September, and I blame going to Iron Maiden for that. I have been sick off and on. So sometimes when I'm not feeling well, I'm not checking my email. And then when I come back to work, I have an ungodly amount of emails. So I may have missed your email. So yes, resubmitting is totally fine. And it's also okay to say, hey, I just wanted to make sure I submitted this about a month ago. Did you see it? I'm not going to take offense at that at all. You need to advocate for yourself too.
Okay. And then I just had one other question. If you represent somebody who is deceased and you have a catalog of music, can you submit it for play? Like if What do you mean? Like if you own publishing from somebody who is deceased, but you have a huge archive of music. Is there a station for that?
You've inherited it, or
Yeah.
It seems like it.
if you have, if you own the rights
Yeah.
to that music, absolutely.
Okay, I was
you
just curious.
don't own
I
the
guess
rights
if you
to the
have
music,
like the legacy of some, like, can you, if you have something that's not released and you want to release it, would you, okay.
Is it an established artist with legacy, or is it somebody who's unknown with a treasure trove that you have?
Pseudo-established. I mean,
Write a great press release and attach it,
Okay.
when you're submitting. This is why this artist was so special.
Okay.
Because that could be a hook that could, draw like my ears in.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Well, as promised, we'd like to make sure there's some time at the end so everybody can do some 101s. I just wanted to take one more minute and thank our panelists for being here tonight. Thank you so much for spending the evening with us. I hope you appreciate how much we appreciate you, because you're wonderful humans and you're investing in our local music scene. So thank you. And
Thank you for coming.
yes. Yeah, what a great turnout for a Monday night. And I hear we're competing with some kind of sports ball or something tonight. Just kidding. Just kidding.
And the bottom line, submit your music. We're open ears,
Yeah. Big thanks to the Music District and to FoCoMA and FoCoMX. And I feel like we should get a party started with some DJ Walkman, who also is part of KCSU.
Local music, a band called Whiter Faces. Have you ever heard of that?
Nope.